In this video, I will show you how to format tables and graphs in SPSS. Let's start with our nominal variable. I'll go ahead and show you how to first copy it. We'll copy special and unclick everything and then just click on JPEG and then save as default. But then again, you may be at a different computer, so just remember to do this again. Click OK, and then we will copy and paste this into a Word document. Here we'll start with a blank Word document and we will paste our image. We will resize it. Now never leave it that large. It's way too big. It should be no more than 1/4 of the size of your page. And so I'll say about that big, as long as you can read it, but it's not taking over your page. For the graphs, we'll use figures. So this is figure 1, period. And then the title will be bar graph. So we can, let's say, frequency bar graph. There are other types of bar graphs. Bar graph of gender. If you knew more information about the sample, like they were students, 5th graders, you would add that as well. So add as much detail as you have. You would always add your total and size and period. The other thing we need to do is format this in APA style. Well, one of the things that we need to do is Times New Roman, 12-point font, and we also have to italicize. Figure 1 is italicized, as well as N. And that's it. The other thing I want to point out is that frequency is capitalized, nothing else in the title here is capitalized. And it ends with the period, and then we always include the N size for our figures and graphs. Okay, let's do the same thing for our histogram. For our histogram, again, we'll right-click, copy special. We saved it as the default. Click OK. We're going to go back into our Word document. Once you're in the Word document, you go ahead and paste it. Remember to resize. We don't want it that big. About that big is okay. Okay, oops, this is the one with the means and standard deviation. So let's actually delete that. And I'm glad I did that, right? These mistakes are good in illustrating what not to do. Remember that for APA style, this cannot be included. So I had done it twice in the previous video, and so then I copied the wrong. So let's go back to SPSS and make sure we copy it without the means and standard deviations in N size. Okay, so I went back to SPSS, copied the other one that I wanted, and this is the one I want. It has no additional information. It only has the graph. Okay, and then here I have the graph, making sure that there's nothing else extra here, frequency on the y-axis, and we're going to do the same thing. Now, whenever I have that already there, and that's the good thing about doing it in class and then applying it to your homework assignments, is that we can just use the format we've already created and then just change it. This time, it's a histogram. Histogram of H. Again, we had 20 people in this particular sample, and then we'll end with the period. Histogram of age is our title. All right, next, let's go to the next page, and we will create a frequency table. Now, for the frequency table, we actually need to create it in Word first. Now, what I usually do is that I quickly just paste it for myself. Now, remember, we will delete this in just a minute, but we want to just take a look at it. So here we have one column for the groups, and then frequency and percent. These two we will ignore, and instead what you've asked to compute are the frequency, relative frequency, percentage. So we'll have the groups, the frequency, the relative frequency, and the percentage. That means we need 1, 2, 3, 4 columns and 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. So we'll go to Insert, Create a Table, and we need a 4x4. Again, if you don't include enough, you can always add more. Remember, these grid lines will not all stay, but here we'll put gender, males, females, frequency, relative frequency, and percentage. We'll also format that in APA style by italicizing these, and we'll just center them as well. For the frequency for males, let's go ahead and center that as well. Our frequency for males was 10, 10, And then again, remember that we will always include the total n size at the bottom. So n equals 20. We'll italicize the n. And then our relative frequency. 10 out of 20 is 0.50. Remember, no leading zero, 0.50. And that's 50.0%, 50.0%, and then the total is 100%. The next step is to remove these extra grid lines. So we'll highlight them all, go to Home, and I like to go here, and I just first remove all my borders, and then I just start from scratch. Remove all my borders, highlight the first row, and when you do that, this shows up here. I want the top one, I want the bottom one, and then here I want the bottom one, which is already there. And then this one needs one bottom line just to mark the data from the totals and one bottom line. So here we have one top line, one above gender, one below gender, one bottom line all the way across, and one little line below the end of our set of frequencies. The next step is to delete this. Don't forget to delete that. We don't want that one. And to format it in APA style. Here is Table 1. Table 1 is on the first line. The title is on the next line. And this is a frequency table. And these are capitalized. Gender. N equals 20. No period in this one. And italicize that. Make sure there's no extra space, and it's all formatted in APA style. The next thing we're going to do is create a frequency table of age. Frequency table of age. We're going to do the same thing, except now so this was a nominal variable. You'll notice that we did not do cumulative frequency. It's a running total, right? So we couldn't do a cumulative frequency, but we can for a continuous variable. So we'll actually add that for this variable. But let's see what it looks like in SPSS. We'll copy over our output and then delete it when we're done. So I copied over the table from SPSS. Again, we will delete it. I moved it to the next page so we'll have more room here, and then we'll move it back. Let's do the same thing. Insert a table. And then let's see how many we need. We have score, or age in this case, age, frequency. We're going to include relative frequency, percentage, and cumulative frequency. So this time we'll need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. And then let's see how many rows we need. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So let's do that. Now, it may not allow you to do as many as you need here in this little default. So we'll just add what we can and then add more in our table. So we needed 5. And this gives us 8, so we'll add 3 more. The way that you add more is just to click here, and just go next to it, and then just add more. So it gave us 8, so now we have 9, 10, 11. And again, if we forget or we need more, we can just add more later. Our first one is age, then we have frequency, relative frequency, percentage, and cumulative frequency. Then we need to format it. This should be lowercase. This should be lowercase. Italicize it. Center it. And let's go. Now we have 18 years old. Then we have 21, 22. I'm just copying from above. 23, 24, 28, 29, 30, 35. And then the last row is for total. Here we had 1. Again, I'm just copying it from above. 5, 2, 1, 3, 5, 1, 1, 1. Our total we know is 20. But if we add those up, it should add up to be 20. Make sure there's a space. We'll go ahead and center all of that. Italicize that N. And then we will also compute our relative frequency, which you'll need to compute by hand. But let's just copy what we have from SPSS, and then we'll compute anything we need to by hand. Here we have 5%, 25%. Remember to add just one zero place. 10%, 5%, 15%, 5%. Okay, and then our total percent. All right, so the next thing that we need to do is to compute our cumulative frequency. Remember our zigzag addition. So 1 plus 5 is 6, 6 plus 2 is 8, 8 plus 1 is 9, 9 plus 3, 12 plus 5 is 17, 17 plus 1 is 18, 19, and then 20. Just make sure that this matches your total end size and you're all set. And then here are relative frequency. So we'll just take 1 divided by 20, 5. Oh, you can't enter. You have to use the down arrow. 0.25. And then again, it doesn't give you relative frequency, so you'd compute it yourself. The last step is to format an APA style. We'll remove all of our grid lines and then just add back the ones we need. Start with the top border, then I do bottom border, highlight the last one, bottom border, and then these two need bottom border. This one, just one little line, and this one. I'm going to delete that extra space, delete that SPSS, that was just there for convenience, and move this back to our table. And there we go. We have table 1, frequency table of gender for a nominal variable, frequency table of age for a continuous variable, and that's how you format tables and graphs in APA style. Notice the differences when we italicize, when we don't italicize, when we use a period, when we don't use a period, when we use lowercase versus capital letters. All of those are important for APA style as well. And this concludes this video.